Hello, everybody. It's John Pollock alongside Jimmy Korderas, and this is our preview of WWE Roadblock End of the Line.
Yeah, end of the line, end of the year, thank goodness.
I'm going to make the declaration that on this show, for the next however long we go, it will simply be called Roadblock because somebody decided that, hey, Roadblock just isn't enough. We have to add upon this name. It can't just be WWE Roadblock, which we had in Toronto, no less, this past March.
Oh, that's right.
Triple H and Dean Ambrose. We have to make it Roadblock End of the Line. And what a mouthful this is. Every time I've had to hear someone promote this show and say Roadblock End of the Line. That's too long of a pay-per-view name, Jimmy.
I think, leave well enough alone. It's like trying to tell a story. It's like getting your stuff in after a match. The match is done. We don't need more. Try to get your heat back.
Is end of the line even like the go-to statement? I always hear, this is the end of the road. But we can't call it Roadblock End of the Road because there's too many damn words in this title.
Unless the theme song is a Traveling Wilbury song, it doesn't make sense at all.
Oh, wow. Well, you're dating yourself.
Yes, I am.
Let's chat about this Sunday's card in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. A city that, whenever I bring up the fact that they have a reputation for not always being the most engaging crowd, I, without question, will hear from someone from Pittsburgh who is very upset with me. But Jimmy, you've worked in the city. I mean, Pittsburgh's a tough crowd. They are Pittsburgh, Long Island. These are cities that I'm sorry, but your history precedes you.
Yeah, it's one of those hit and miss crowds. Like there have been times at the old Igloo where you'd go for one event and the crowd would be really hot and they're into everything you do. It didn't matter what you did, headlock, takeover, drop kicks. They loved everything. The next time you get there, it's like trying to pull teeth. It's a really weird dynamic. And
it was literally the case of pulling teeth in Pittsburgh for the King of the Ring in '98 with Mick Foley and The Undertaker in the Hell in a Cell.
Oh, witnessing that live and here the funny part is like, sitting in the back, before we went out to try and get Mick to stop what he was doing, because Vince was screaming at everybody, stop the damn match. And we're looking at the monitor, and as we're looking at the monitor, Hunter turns around, he goes, is that a tooth in his nose? And sure enough, we find out later, yes, it was.
Yeah, it was. And wow, that match even referenced on Monday as Mick Foley was setting up the match with Sami Zayn and Braun Strowman. Let's go a little crazy here. Let's start off with Braun Strowman and Sami Zayn. I thought the setup to this and where it was going, the payoff you got on Monday, I really enjoyed that segment with Sami Zayn and Mick Foley. It gave you a reason for this match, and to me, it was the best thing they've done with Sami Zayn since the brand split.
I like the character, and I like the passion, the fire coming out in Sami Zayn. For me, I wasn't too thrilled with the way Mick Foley approached it or how they approached that. I get the idea of trying to fire him up and trying to find that inner... I guess he's got to go to a deep, dark place to face Braun Strowman. And that part I get, but the fact that you're teasing him with a trade to SmackDown, of course, to me it was a shot at the whole internet wrestling community by saying, we'll trade you for Eva Marie, and just watching everybody throwing stuff at their TV at home in their basement was probably classic. I wish there's videos out there. If anybody's got them, send them in. But that's the only thing. I didn't like that part. I like the motivation part, but I didn't like... To me, that was a little over the top.
See, I didn't mind that the end, the reveal was, of course I wasn't going to trade you. You're a valuable asset here on Raw. And I mean, you look at this match on Sunday, and it's the way they've set it up. It's a 10-minute match where Zayn has to last 10 minutes with Braun Strowman. And I don't know if he should really go the 10 minutes because Braun does feel as though he is the priority here, though they have done something to at least heat up Zayn, who... When this program started, this could have easily been just Braun kills him. Yeah,
I think that you run the risk here with the 10-minute time limit. I mean, obviously you can go the route where Sami Zayn, barely hangs on by the skin of his teeth and lasts the 10 minutes, and you go the 10-minute time limit, and it's almost like a win for him for surviving the 10 minutes with Braun Strowman. But at the same time, you run the risk of hurting Braun Strowman.
10 minutes of Braun Strowman, that's asking a lot.
Yeah.
This is going to be a big test for Braun Strowman, if that is, because I can't see him just beating Zayn in 4 minutes.
Yeah, it's kind of like that, when we go back to the Lesnar-Goldberg match here in Toronto at Survivor Series. If that match would have gone 10 minutes, it probably wouldn't have been good.
That's a definite, fair assessment.
Yeah.
Main event is Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns. this feels like a title match that is just happening. I don't feel a whole lot for this as a program. It feels to me as though it's just a placeholder for both guys, and I feel it's one of those matches where they don't want to beat either guy, and we're probably not going to see a clean finish between these two on Sunday as Roman Reigns keeps the U.S. title and Kevin Owens keeps the Universal title. I think for any title match, you have to have the belief that the challenger is viable. And Reigns is certainly a credible guy they have built up and are going to protect, but I don't think anyone buys a title change happening on Sunday.
No, I don't think so, too. And plus, like you said, I think this is a bridge to the Chris Jericho, Kevin Owens feud or rivalry that's going to happen afterwards. It's inevitable unless they try to pull the big swerve and don't pull the trigger. But I think the trigger, it's a logical next step.
Do you think this has been the split, or do you see something on Sunday where both of them come together and we get the bigger split down the road?
I think the bigger split comes down the road. I think there's that tease that it'll happen Sunday. Chris Jericho will probably help Kevin Owens retain in some form or fashion. And then after that is when you're going to have the eventual blow-up between the two. Maybe it happens as soon as Monday night. Look, Jericho comes out and says, look, I put the past behind us and I helped you. And, then Kevin Owens could be the dick and just be the heel on this one.
It would be great if you could do it in such a way where Owens and Reigns was on earlier and Jericho ends up helping Owens, and then Owens tries to return the favor but ends up totally messing it up for Jericho and Rollins. And the only way I could see something like you would have to do it in that order.
Right.
But, I mean, you could always put Charlotte and Sasha on last. That's a potential. But that's probably the unlikely scenario. But if you're looking, as we're outlining this with this Owens-Reigns finish, I mean, that's not the greatest finish to end the show with, as opposed to Charlotte and Sasha, which does have some finality attached to it.
Right. I agreed. But the only drawback for me having the women go on last again on a pay-per-view is, like before, it almost feels like, and I hate to put it this way, because they're having great matches, and I love having the women showcase their talents the way they are, but at the same time, it almost feels like they're forcing this women can main event pay-per-views all the time. Yeah, they can, but it almost feels like it's like being shoved down our throats now.
Is this the end of Charlotte's pay-per-view streak, which I've got to say they have not played up all that much in this build-up? It's all around the Iron Man stipulation, and we saw at Hell in a Cell. I mean, they went to great lengths to upset that crowd by Sasha losing to preserve this streak. So you go through all the backlash you got coming out of that match, and you're not reaping the benefit of preserving that pay-per-view streak. I don't think that's been emphasized hardly enough in the lead-up to this. The fact that Charlotte has never lost her singles matches on pay-per-view. Right. Sasha's never been able to beat her on pay-per-view, and this is their final showdown on Sunday. I think that should have been hit a lot harder. We didn't even have either women on Raw Monday.
No, we just had video packages, which were pretty well done. But again, for me, the problem I'm having with Charlotte, and this is just me, I don't know, maybe you agree, maybe you don't, is that I feel she's better suited as a heel. As much as the hardcore crowd likes her and because of her talents, I think she's better suited as a heel. So what I'm kind of thinking is going to happen here, I think she retains on Sunday, and the streak, the pay-per-view streak ends for Charlotte. Next up for Sasha is a big test in Nia Jax, which leads into her finally turning heel after the Nia Jax program, and her and Bayley have a nice little program.
And Charlotte could go with Bayley after this week, because that was the feud they were definitely going in the direction of, and then it went back to Charlotte and Sasha. So you believe Sasha retains. I think there's a good shot of that occurring. I feel that title does need some stability.
Yeah.
I mean, it has just switched way too many times that I think another one is just too much at this point for these women. I mean, they are on pace to be 50-time champions by the time everything's all said and done, and that's maybe only by the end of next year. Yeah,
exactly. Talk about, everybody's worried about John Cena breaking Ric Flair's record of 16 world titles.
This is like Lawler in Memphis with that title. I mean, it just flipped all the time. Seth Rollins and Chris Jericho, I think on paper this should be a really good match. It's going to be interesting to see that and the Universal title match, because I think in both, the audience is kind of conditioned to expect Owens and Jericho to get involved in the other's match. And that can be tough, Jimmy, when you have matches where you're expecting some interference and getting them to buy into near falls earlier and buy potential finishes before. Because on paper alone, Jericho and Rollins, I think this should be really good.
Yeah, I think this could potentially be match of the night, as some might categorize it. But I think there will be interference, but not from Owens or Jericho, or if they do interfere, it'll probably be afterward. Seth Rollins has been calling out the COO, Triple H, like the old Tombstone movie, you called down the thunder, well, here it comes, and maybe he makes his presence felt, and Seth Rollins, him and Seth Rollins are set up basically going forward to their eventual, what I believe to be their WrestleMania match.
Mm-hmm. And then we have the tag title matches, the New Day against Sheamus and Cesaro. It's a match that it almost feels like all their focus was around this record from this past Monday, and this is just a match on a couple of days' notice. I don't see the title change happening this Sunday.
You know what? That being said, it probably will because of that. Because it doesn't look like it's happening. Like, Monday was the perfect setup for it, and for several things. Not only for the title change, but it was a perfect setup for the breakup of the New Day, because you had Xavier Woods celebrating and spraying Stephanie with the champagne. So she forces them into another match that same night.
I love the idea of Jericho and Owens winning the titles. I thought that should have been it.
I did too. And then going later on into the night and having, Xavier Woods in the match. He's the one who created the scenario where they have the second match. Then he's the one who gets pinned for them to lose the titles and lose the opportunity at breaking the record held by Demolition. And then there's kind of like an implosion where the other two are blaming Xavier Woods for their loss.
We couldn't make history, so we are history.
Yeah.
Done.
I like that tagline. See, that's a T-shirt. We got to talk to Pumpkinhead. Make a T-shirt, man.
What else do we have on Sunday? We have the Cruiserweight title match with Rich Swann, TJ Perkins, and Brian Kendrick. Certainly the Cruiserweight division, it has had its issues, which I feel every month we go back to. I did like on 205 Live this week, I thought that Rich Swann and TJ Perkins had a very good match. It was all built around knee injury to Rich Swann and then leading to the knee bar finish for TJ Perkins. And you had Kendrick on commentary. I think with TJ Perkins, they've curbed the character slightly to get away from all the gamer stuff that was just a turnoff to a lot of people, and give a little bit of an edge to him as well. So I like that fact. But I do see the title staying with Swan. I think they just changed it, and he's someone that, of all the cruiserweights, he is the one that has connected the most, I feel, with the audience.
Yeah, I agree. Out of the three of them, at least, anyways, and the newcomer now, Jack Gallagher, is sort of creating a bit of a stir in a different. You're talking about connection with the audience, and that's what Rich Swann is offering right now. He's got that little bit of connection. He's a fun character. He's got a nice story to tell too. His background and such. But of the three of them, I am enjoying Brian Kendrick in his current stint with the company. I think he's really good as a heel, as a foil, as a foe. But Jack Gallagher, Monday night he popped me really huge on Raw when he came out and announced his intentions to interfere in the match against that scoundrel. See, to me, he could be the big star in the Cruiserweight division and also break that stereotype of the Cruiserweights are nothing more than just high-flying spot monkeys, as they call it. Monkeys of spot, or as a broken Matt would say.
Yes. So we're both believing Rich Swann likely keeps the title there. And then on the kickoff show, it's Rusev and Big Cass, which they have done a lot of build towards the singles match for the two. And yet they find themselves on the kickoff show. I guess time-wise, when you have this Iron Man match, I guess they kind of draw the short straw in all of this. But the fact this is on the kickoff show, for all the time they've put into building this up, it almost seems like, why are we just throwing this on the kickoff show?
I think part of the reason is, and this is, again, as in my opinion, is Rusev, to me, in this one, doesn't totally come off as the heel in this one. I look at it this way. If I'm with my buddy and my buddy's like hitting on somebody's wife and the guy's husband comes around and wants to exact a little revenge, so to speak, sometimes you got to just let your buddy take a beating. A little tough love, say, dude, you're in the wrong. You stick up for your buddies as much as you can, but when he's in the wrong that bad, for me, a guy sticking up for his wife while a guy's hitting on her, that's not heelish to me. Do you know what I mean?
It's kind of the story of Rusev, is that when you break down all this guy's issues with people, completely justifiable.
Yeah, it's like going out with the cast of Jersey Shore and trying to avoid backing them up when they're being idiots in a bar or something.
That said, in terms of having a singles match, I mean, you can see with Cass, he is someone that is definitely a project for this company long term. I think they see a lot in him. I feel putting him in the singles match, it's a big test for him. I thought that promo this past week where he came out without Enzo, I mean, you can see this guy is just, to me, he relies heavily off playing off of Enzo and having that chemistry. Yes. Because Solo, I mean, he just sounds very forced with his promos, and it almost seems like it's something that he is trying to do, like speaking with like that cadence where it sounds so mechanical, right, the way he's just reciting these lines, like almost that it's being done on purpose. And I just, with Cass, he certainly, when Enzo was injured and he came out, I mean, he got good reactions from the audience, but inevitably they're going to break these two up. I think that they have something really great between these two, and it's certainly going to be a risk whenever they do make that decision. I
hate to make this the preview of bad movie references, but it reminds me almost like the movie with Steve Carell and Steve Buscemi, Burt Wonderstone.
Oh, yes.
The magician.
Sorry, missed that one, Jimmy.
I
read reviews.
Yeah, trust me. But there is a part in that where they're a magician tag team, so to speak, in Las Vegas, and they break up, and Steve Carell tries to continue the act without his partner, but all his material is just the stuff that he did, which didn't work because it was an interaction between the two. Anyways, long story short, this is what the cast by himself right now is reminding me of. He has to evolve his character as to being more than just the guy who responds to what Enzo says.
Well, there you have it. That was the best breakdown of this pre-show match involving Cass and Rusev. Yeah. So Roadblock is coming up Sunday night on the WWE Network. Afterwards, you can tune into The Law at midnight Eastern Time. Jason Agnew and Dan Lebransky will have a full rundown of the card, which you can hear on TSN 1050 Toronto, TSN 1410 Vancouver, or listen online at liveaudiowrestling.com. For Jimmy Korderas, I'm John Pollock, and enjoy Roadblock from Pittsburgh.